I'm Joseph Akmakjian, and I have spinal muscular atrophy type 2. And it's a neuromuscular disorder that's similar to muscular dystrophy. When I was 9 months old, I stopped progressing. Like I stopped crawling, stopped trying to do a lot of movement. And then that's kind of when my parents noticed something was wrong. My parents were very reluctant to really accept the fact that I was going to have a disability for a long time. So instead of purchasing a wheelchair right away, they used strollers a lot. They carried me a lot. I had go-karts that I would drive around the house instead of a wheelchair. Really anything but a wheelchair was kind of what I was allowed to use. And then when I was about 3 years old, they kind of accepted the fact that I was going to need a wheelchair to be independent. And that's when I got my first power wheelchair. In elementary school, I would bring in like x-rays from a doctor's visit and sit the class down and just like explain what was happening to me, explain the surgery I was gonna have. And so kids were really, really comfortable with my wheelchair. I experienced almost the opposite of bullying. There were days when I would show up to school in like a push wheelchair because this one might have been broken, and kids would fight over who got to push me. You know, it was kind of like, it was really strange. I just kind of grew up with this group of kids, and we went to elementary, junior high, and high school together. So since everyone in high school had been with me from elementary school, everyone was really, really comfortable with my needs and kind of the way I did things. And I never really experienced a ton of bullying. I chose Colorado State because I knew that I had to stay at home and my medical needs were too intense for me to be able to move out on my own. I don't exactly know what I'd like to do as a career. I'd like to do something in entertainment in Hollywood, definitely move out of state and get out of Colorado for a little bit. It's been a good experience at CSU. I've really, really enjoyed it. In a lot of ways, I appreciate certain things in life that other people might not. Realistically speaking, my life expectancy is shortened compared to someone else. And so I think that my mentality kind of focuses on the fact that I might not be here as long as other people, and so I want to make the best of it as possible. I think there's a lot of positive experiences that come from my situation, and they're probably not super obvious even to me, but I think that it's just mainly allowed me to really live in the moment and enjoy today, and I think that's probably what I'm most grateful for. When I was very, very young, I started being a spokesperson for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. I started kind of going around to different fundraisers, thanking people for donating and kind of explaining why it was important for them to donate. And I really enjoyed doing that, and I did it for about 10 to 12 years. I also worked on Inspiration Playground in Fort Collins, which is a completely accessible park. And it's meant to be a park that everyone can play at, not just people with disabilities and not just able-bodied people. So the special thing about the park is that someone who's able-bodied and someone who's not can play side by side without really distinguishing that difference. It is frustrating to not be able to just do things independently, and everything I do costs me twice as much because I have to take an aide with me. So there are a lot of downsides to it, but at the same time, I've grown up with it and I've gotten used to it, so it's not that I'm always angry about it because it's just the way that life has been. My aides offer me a lot of independence, and without them, I probably wouldn't be able to do most of the things that I do. It's a lot to ask someone to do everything for you. So when people are willing to do that, it's just very, it's very nice. The ideal situation would be for others to view me just as Joe, and not really focus on the wheelchair, because it sounds kind of funny, but I kind of forget that I'm in a wheelchair. It's not something that's always on my mind. It's not something that I'm constantly thinking about, I guess. And so it's just, for me, I wish other people would see kind of past the wheelchair and just see me, I guess, because that's kind of how I view myself. And that would be probably my biggest hope, is that people would be able to do that. My goal is to really get the idea out there that just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean my life is really that much different from anyone else. It's just a little bit different, I guess.